Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru, and I'm here to remind you that while the Writers Guild have reached the end of their strike, SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Guild, is still currently on strike, and we, of course, cannot make movies without actors, so we must still support them. So I'm going to include a link to both the Entertainment Fund and to their official website if you want to help them out more directly. And as I usually say in these intros, the corporates, support the unions, and let's get back to this review. Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Totally Killer, which is a new slasher film by director Nahnatchka Khan. But it is also the latest entry in the insert classic movie here, but add a slasher killer subgenre. That was kind of started really with Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
But there was an entry before that called The Final Girls, which was basically Last Action Hero with a slasher killer.
Yes.
But the one that really kicked off the subgenre as we know it was Happy Death Day, which was Groundhog Day with a slasher killer.
How do you like the great taste of Groundhog Day with a slasher?
Absolutely. Now, the one thing that ties all the movies in this subgenre together is they all tend to be horror comedies, but they tend to be horror comedies with a heart.
Yeah.
The Final Girls, for example, was about a daughter reconnecting with her dead mother through her roles as an actress in B-grade slasher films. Happy Death Day was also about a daughter whose mother recently died and has slowly pushed everyone away that was once close to her, including her father. And now we have Totally Killer, which is also about a daughter reconnecting with her dead mother, but this time by traveling back in time to stop the serial killer who would eventually go on to kill said mother 30 years after his initial rampage. Jeez, there's more dead mothers here than goddamn Disney films. Who knew? And that's the plot of this movie.
Stop the slasher.
Stop
Gotta
the slasher.
do it in time. Gotta stop that killer and go back in time. Actually, the funny thing is, this movie actually reminds me a little bit less of Back to the Future and more of My Science Project.
I can see that because you have that element of like a high school student building a time machine.
Yeah.
But it's a time machine built out of like a one of those photo booths.
Yeah, it's built out of like a carnival photo booth, and they do not explain how a teenage science nerd is able to create a time machine. It just fucking happens,
Well,
man.
it's like Weird Science, right? She's
Yeah.
just really fucking smart.
What was Weird Science? We hacked into a government mainframe and hooked it up to a Barbie doll, and now we have a fucking computer genie that does whatever we want.
And we high school students can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically. The character who creates the time machine is not the same one who has to deal with the slasher killer. It's actually her best friend.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, unlike Back to the Future, the best friend doesn't go back with her. She instead goes and meets her best friend's mom back in the past and has to get her help to build another time machine in order to come back to the present. On her phone that she brought with her to the past,
Right.
she downloaded a bunch of podcasts about the killings that happened.
Oh, that's right.
And so every
Yeah.
time the podcasts change, she knows that she changed something in the future.
That's right. Yeah, because this is one of those timelines where you cannot grandfather yourself out of existence, but you can change the present to the point where you existing should not happen.
Yeah, you can stop yourself from being born, but you yourself will still exist.
Yeah. Yeah, there just won't be another one of you.
Exactly. If you're wondering how it succeeds as a slasher film, very well.
Yeah.
As a slasher film, it is great. As a comedy, it's fucking hilarious. And as a story about a mother and daughter, sometimes the comedy gets in the way of the heart, but the heart is still there.
Yeah, this movie stars
Kiernan Shipka, which for some reason I have trouble remembering or pronouncing, and yet it's actually not that hard, so I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, let's get back to the review. From The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
yes.
She's got good comedic timing, and she's able to bring the heart
Yeah.
But what I also like about her is there's an attitude to her that makes her totally fit in the 80s while also not fitting in. Because while she has the attitude, all her language is not right.
Yeah. Oh, God. There's some jokes in there that I thought were fucking great. The kids in the 80s are all like way more hardcore than she is, with one major exception, which is that 80s weed is shit. So she cannot get high because she's used to dispensary weed.
That's actually the source of a lot of the comedy in this movie. This isn't a movie that's like parodying slasher films the same way The Final Girls was.
Correct.
The comedy is more centered around the differences between the now and then.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of 80s jokes about the 80s. Stuff like her being horrified at a mom smoking while there are kids in the car.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that. Or just like things that you would think existed but actually didn't back then, like DNA testing. And all that stuff is fucking hilarious.
But perhaps my favorite 80s joke, and also the most understated because they never directly call attention to it in the film itself, is the fact that the killer is clearly wearing a mask inspired by Max Headroom, which is just all kinds of awesome.
Which like immediately evokes the 80s, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It invokes the 80s and references Halloween.
Yes.
Because Michael Myers, like a white painted Shatner. Okay, all right, I get it.
The one thing I will say the movie does kind of parody to a certain extent, but not like to the point where it's like completely spoofing it, is it kind of makes fun of movies like Halloween 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have the survivor of a slasher killer has now become like a badass.
Yeah.
And they kind of play on that a little bit in the beginning of the movie. The main character's mom is basically Jamie Lee Curtis in 2018.
Yeah, except she fails.
Yeah, except in this case she
gets
fails.
Killed, you know.
But there's that cool moment where she's just like pulling guns out of nowhere because she's got them all stashed in places. I kind of figured out where the movie was going, but even when it got there, it still surprised me and shocked me in places.
Yeah,
there were certain elements I did not predict.
Yeah, because they leave you on the hook as to who the fucking killer is until the very end.
This is a party movie.
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
You know,
totally.
like you got a group of people over, you feel like settling down and putting on a movie that people can drink and make fun of while they're watching. Although there's not much to make fun of. The movie's pretty damn good.
Yeah. The movie is reasonably funny. Like, this is like a solid B.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
You know?
A solid B is a great way to describe it.
Yeah, I would give it thumb up.
It is currently available on Amazon Prime. It is not in theaters, though I think it would have done really well in theaters if it was put in theaters.
Well, given how well Happy Death Day did.
Yeah, Happy Death Day did pretty well. And Freaky did pretty well during the pandemic. And Freaky's another movie in this vein where it's, you know, Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday the 13th. Yeah.
But as a slasher movie. And we're going to get another movie like this later in the year called It's a Wonderful Knife, which is exactly what you think it is. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that, and I really enjoyed this. And I've enjoyed all of these movies so far, so I hope they keep making them. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers so we can reveal who the killer in this movie really is.
And they spend a lot of time, like, teasing you about who the killer is going to be.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of like, oh, maybe it's this character. Maybe it's that character. Now, the character I predicted was the killer is the podcast guy.
Yeah.
Who early on in the movie is introduced like right away. I think he's introduced before the main character, actually.
Yeah, he is.
Because he's the one doing like the tour of like all the killing spots.
Yeah, he's like in the opening shot. Yeah.
I predicted right away because he was having mysterious text messages with the main character's mom. He's the one obsessed with the kills and all that stuff. So the chances of him being the one to have done it and is kind of like reveling in his own like murders is very high because it's not like killers aren't known for like having trophies and shrines and things like that. So his version of a shrine would have been like a podcast.
Yeah.
Where he's going over all the details, even details
allowing
he
him
shouldn't know.
Yeah, reliving the experience. But it turns out he's not the original killer.
No, but he is the one that comes back 30 years later.
Yeah, the one that kills the main character's mom.
He's the actual one who kills the main character's mom because
his podcast has started to lose views and interest over time because it's It's been 30 years and there've been no new developments in that whole time. So he's decided he's going to revive interest in the killer and his podcast by proxy by killing the original final girl who survived the original incident in a copycat killing spree. And yes, I decided to relay that information using this format because it sounds more like a podcast.
When you go back to the 80s, there's actually a different killer running around, but we don't realize it's two different killers till the end and we get the reveal.
Right.
Now, in the 80s, there's a bunch of red herrings thrown your way, not the least of which being the main character's dad.
Yeah.
Who's thrown out as a red herring through most of the movie, actually.
Yeah.
Until there's a point where he absolutely could not be.
Yeah, because he's right there as, like, the person's being killed.
Unless it was going to pull a scream and there'll be two killers, which it did, but in a way where they're not connected.
Yeah.
Now, I bet you're wondering, who is the actual killer, the original Sweet 16 killer, named such because he stabs you 16 times. Sweet 16 killer is actually this nerd guy that she befriends in the past, who turns out to be the principal in the future.
Yeah.
He has this backstory that is told through dialogue of characters just talking about things that happened in the past and like potential people who might have it out for them. And one of the stories they told was of this girl who they basically bullied, got drunk, and got in a car accident.
Yeah, and she died.
And it turns out that this guy was her boyfriend the whole time. So he's basically killing all the girls that were involved with that. And the reason why he never killed the main character's mom was because she was technically not part of that bullying.
Yeah.
Which the main character first thinks she was part of it and then finds out she's not. And it's one of those like, why did you think so ill of me? And to be fair, her mom was kind of a mean girl.
Oh no, her mom was a complete bitch in high school, just not that bad.
That's the other thing that kind of separates this from Back to the Future. Her parents are assholes in the past.
Oh yeah.
It takes a while for them to grow on you. The dad grew on me faster than she did, even though in the back of my mind, I'm like, he could still be the killer.
Yeah. The biggest problem he's got is that he's just dumb.
Yeah, present him as a smart, intelligent guy. Past him
is an idiot.
It's a complete himbo. You know,
He has no idea. He looks great, but do not trust him to fucking tie his shoes.
Now, in his defense, the movie kind of justifies this by having him high most of the time.
Yeah.
But even still, even for being high, he's really stupid.
Central to this plot is one of those gravitrons.
Oh, yeah.
Carnival gravitrons.
It's a key feature at the beginning of the movie when they're at the carnival because it's just the ride people like to ride on. But also, it's the ride that gets turned into the time machine to take her to the future.
Yes.
The photo booth time machine's the one in the present, and then the time machine in the past is the gravitron spinny thing.
Yeah, because they need the speed that makes the fucking time machine
Which allows them to create this really awesome set piece where the thing starts spinning so fast that if one of them steps wrong, they're gonna be fucking splatted against the fucking wall.
Yeah. They're being constantly pressed against the walls to the point where, like, the slasher killer is actually walking at them sideways.
Yup, and if it goes too fast, they're gonna just be squished unless they're in the center.
Yeah.
So, there's like a race against time to get to the center before that happens. But of course, the slasher killer, who's actually the one from the present.
Yeah, at this point, it's the guy from 2003.
Because he has managed to trick her friend in the present to rebuild the time machine so he can go back in time and help her. But he's actually going back in time to cover up shit.
Yeah.
Because if she successfully stops the serial killings, then he's got no podcast.
Yeah.
The one thing Back to the Future never did was cut back to the present while Marty was here.
How things were changing.
So it adds its own element there that's kind of unique to it, which I really appreciated. Now, this whole movie actually culminates in one of my favorite actual elements of the movie. She does effectively change the past, which changes her future. She gets a new name when she goes to the future.
Yeah, because it turns out her parents hooked up earlier and they had intended to call their first kid Jamie, but they had a first kid that was a boy, so now she has an older brother.
Yeah, now she has an older brother when she goes back to the future.
Yeah, and she doesn't know her own name.
And I kind of liked that like she actually made a tangible difference that you could see that changed the trajectory of her whole life.
Yeah, it's like, oh god damn it, what do I do now?
The other thing I like is that her mom in the original future was a complete paranoid wreck.
Yeah.
Like I said, she was kind of a take on like Jamie Lee Curtis in 2018. Not nearly as much of a wreck as Jamie Lee Curtis was.
No, not nearly, but still, yeah.
But like a proxy for that. When she goes back to the future, her mom is carefree.
And
she effectively cures her mom's anxiety on top of bringing her back to life.
Yeah, because they fucking figured out who the killer was and killed him.
Exactly.
You know, so there's still trauma, but it's not like he could still be out there. It's like, no, that motherfucker is dead.
Where can they find you, Count Jackula?
All right, you can find me here on YouTube. I stream during the week. Subscribe to my channel, and you should check to see if there is a live stream anytime during the day. Keep your noses open and your eyes peeled. For if you smell that cheese and you see me, you know the Count Jackula stream is on the way. It is live. It is coming at you. It has been cave-aged to come to you fresh from the frozen vaults of Valhalla. What about you?
Can they smell it because you cut the cheese? I was confused on the metaphor there.
Yeah.
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, Facebook, Mastodon, Blue Sky. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you would like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages, and remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And if you made it this far into the video, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag MaxHeadroom. Use the hashtag MaxHeadroom, that way I know. That way Jack knows. That way the whole world knows that you like obscure science fiction shows from the 1980s. And who doesn't love those? And with all that said, my fellow gorehounds, peace out, and I shall catch y'all later.